This is going to be a short little video just to conclude the lesson 3-4 notes. So this is just the example 4 slide from your 3-4 notes handout, and just wanted to give you a couple of examples to help you prepare for these problems in your assignment. So this factor by grouping method, not sure if you've seen this before, but here's how it works. In each of these problems, we're given 4 different terms. This is a polynomial expression, 4 different terms. So the goal is to try to figure out a way to come up with 2 groups of 2, and within each group we should have a GCF that can be factored out. So it's already set up pretty nicely, this letter A problem. Within these first 2 terms, I'll just make a group of them because I have a GCF, hopefully you can see, of 8x. And then over here, same type of deal, I'll just group these 2 together, and you can probably see that I have a GCF of 3a. Alright, so the goal here is when I factor out those separate GCFs from the 2 groups, so let's just see what it looks like when I factor out 8x. And then this group becomes 4y plus 5b. Okay, and then I'm going to bring down the minus, and now I'm going to factor out the other GCF, which is 3a. Okay, and now I'm going to have, when I factor out, it's almost like you have to look at this back in its original. It can look a little tricky at first. Put this back the way it was. Okay, so remember, we're trying to come up with multiplication, a multiplication expression that would equal this. So negative 3a times 4y would give us negative 12y. Okay, I'm essentially factoring out negative 3a since I brought the minus down. And then over here, to make this come up to negative, I must be doing the negative times a positive. So this is going to be plus 5b. And you can always check yourself. A couple of things should happen. If I do the distributive property here, negative 3a times positive 4y, that's negative 12ay. And negative 3a times positive 5b, that's negative 5ab. Well, you'll know you've done the right thing if you have these 2 matching binomials. See how they match? So that's a clue. That's a good sign that you've done the factoring correctly. So you can essentially treat this binomial 4y plus 5b as a GCF. And so my final answer will be that matching binomial 4y plus 5b, and then I'm going to multiply that times these other terms, 8x minus 3a, put together in another binomial. Okay, so come up with 2 groups, factor out the GCA of each group, and if you've done it correctly, you should get the same result in these 2 sets of parentheses. And so that one set of matching parentheses, that will be one of your factors, and the other terms that are not in parentheses, they go together as another group representing the other factor. Okay, let's do another example of those. This one, again, 4 terms, and they've set it up really pretty well for us because it won't always work this way. Sometimes you've got to do you're arranging yourself to make 2 groups of 2 that have a GCF in common. But the way these problems set up, they've already pretty much set them up that way for us. Notice within this first group, I have a GCF of 6a, and I'm going to factor that out, and when I do, I get 3 minus 4y. Okay, over here with this group, I've got another group here of 2 terms, and their GCF will be 16b. Okay, and then when I factor out that, I get 3 minus 4y. So it's always a good sign when you do factoring by grouping. Notice how we get this matching binomial. And so that becomes one of our factors to go along with 6a plus 16b. Okay, well, the only thing that's going on here is when I get to this point, I notice that I've got a GCF within this group. So I need to go ahead and keep factoring, because notice that 2 is a GCF for 6 and 16. So to finish this, I'm going to factor out the 2 from this group. I can keep them in this order. And when I factor out the 2, I get 3a plus 8b. And now that should be the finished answer, but just double check and make sure that you're factored completely. There should not be any GCFs within parentheses when you're finished with the answer. And so I hope that helps. You'll be doing some similar problems, 71 to 78, using this factoring by grouping method. These are the problems that you'll be doing for the assignment. And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know.